See, I knew there was so much light coming from somewhere. Hold
That's coming from your face,
on.
bro.
حلو قوي دي. Very good. No, you're Egyptian. Masri, Masri.
Yeah.
Egypturk Abdurrahman, thank you so much for joining the Ansari Podcast, brother. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Habibi. I appreciate it.
So I'm curious, bro, what was your reflection or reaction to doing the Prophet's daily routine and actually attempting it?
So it was a lot of ibadah. Like I feel like doing that routine it had me have God consciousness the whole entire day, which is as expected, of course. He's the Prophet ﷺ, and we always have to strive to be like him. But it's subhanAllah, from the second you wake up till the end of the day, everything you're doing revolves around pleasing Allah, whether it's doing the adhkar, whether it's waking up a little bit before Fajr to pray tahajjud, like from the second you're awake till the second you're sleeping, you're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's honestly hard because there's a lot of distractions in this day and age, but to be able to do that for one day, it was kind of eye-opening, and it's like, why don't I live my life like this for the rest of the day? Especially now that it's Ramadan, this would be the perfect time to implement that routine in your life and hopefully build those habits to kind of carry over, inshallah, to the rest of the year.
Yeah, man. So I've actually attempted the Prophet's Prophet's routine for, I only did like 80%, 70% of it.
Mm.
I didn't
Yeah,
put the dua, the dua of entering the bathroom, the dua before you sleep. I didn't
right.
really have those down yet because I had to memorize them and so on.
Yeah,
But I definitely tried the ibadat, the worship practices. Probably had like a 60 to 70% success rate for a
yeah.
month or two. I would
Oh,
say
wow. That's
honestly,
very good.
yeah, man, but I definitely burned myself out. But
Uh-huh.
the beautiful thing about that is that you take away things from it. You take away one thing that I took away was dhikr before Fajr and dhikr before Maghrib. وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ
Mm.
رَبِّكَ قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْسِ وَقَبْلَ غُرُوبِهَا. So like
Mm.
that's a command that the Prophet peace be upon him was given to by Allah to um to make dhikr or to make tasbih of Allah, glorification of Allah before Fajr, before the sunrise, and before sunset. And I found those to be two columns that are very important to my daily routine. What's interesting, though, is that the Prophet's daily routine doesn't actually differ from the Ramadan routine that much. He
Yeah,
merely
yeah.
intensifies worship and intensifies charity.
Right, right. So I feel like the only difference is, like you said, a little bit more intensified, and then i'tikaf the last 10 nights of Ramadan. But other than that, when I was doing my research about the routine as well, it was basically the same exact thing. And he would fast too, Mondays and Thursdays, and then the 3 days of the month. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to. I don't know if you have it down. I've done a lot of research on this. Uh, let's go through it, man. Can do you remember how he started off his day?
Yeah, so he ﷺ would start his day off with tahajjud. So he would kind of wake up in the last third of the night and pray qiyam and kind of make dua because that's the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the and then that would be the best time to make dua. So what do you
So
have?
it's around 3:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is in every single religious tradition, those are considered divine hours. There was a Japanese author that said that he only used to write. I think he even won a Nobel Prize for this. I forget his
Oh
name.
wow. Uh-huh.
He only used to write during those times, 3:30 to 5 a.m., because he said that's when I find that my ego goes to rest and I can actually focus on what's in front of me.
Wow. That's profound because the Prophet ﷺ also was saying that his nation, it's blessed in the early times. So those early times of the day is really, I personally found this in my life too. Whenever I want to do anything and I get it done in the early times, I always have way more barakah and have way more energy and focus to get it done. So there is no surprise that he got a Nobel Prize for writing that early in the time.
One of the interesting things is that if we told people to wake up at 3:30 a.m. To go on a run or 3:30 a.m. to start their schoolwork or start their real work at their company, they would find it admirable, especially if we ourselves were doing it. They might even look up to us. That's why
Yeah.
figures, as you said in your video on your channel, that's why figures like David Goggins is so loved. But if you tell someone wake up at 3:30 a.m. to worship Allah, they might find it crazy.
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel like only Muslims who kind of know about the routine of the Prophet ﷺ find that normal. But if you were to ask any random person on the street, like, hey, would you ever wake up at this time to worship God? They'd be like, I never even thought of something like that. But you're right, like walking a dog at that time, completely normal. Going out for a jog at that time, completely normal. But worshiping God at that time is like kind of surreal.
Yeah. And then obviously, so he would go to the masjid for Fajr, but what surprised me is that he would pray Sunnah at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently discovered that, and I used to always strive to go pray Sunnah at the masjid. But once I heard that, I started praying it at home. But the subhanallah, the amazing thing about the Sunnah is it's better than everything in the whole entire world. So imagine like Elon Musk, he has everything, and then the two rak'ahs before Fajr are worth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than everything the world has to offer. So that's just one thing that I try to always remember because sometimes you wake up and you're kind of rushing and you're like, I only have time to pray Fajr. But especially in this month of Ramadan, it's really important to just take a step back and start trying to build, at least if you can find one new consistent habit that you can build to kind of be more aligned with the Sunnah of the Prophet, it should definitely be the Sunnah of Fajr prayer. That's one Sunnah you should try your best to take care of and take out of this month of Ramadan.
Absolutely. And that's one of the sunnahs that I took away from trying that 1 month, 2 month
Hmm.
routine.
Yeah,
And I heard even when I was doing my research on this the that you should stay in the masjid after Fajr for 10 to 15 minutes, and it would be equivalent to making Umrah, according
yeah.
to Hadith Tirmidhi.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you stay in the masjid and you do some form of ibadah until the sun rises, and then you pray 2 rak'ahs of sunnah, and then that'll be as if you've performed the umrah with the Prophet ﷺ. So that's a huge reward, honestly. I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of hard to do though, if you have school or you have work to go to, but some people are blessed and they have the time. So if you definitely have the time, you should totally do that sunnah.
On a weekend would be probably the best
Weekend
time.
would be
Oh,
very nice.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And what would you usually do? What are you planning on doing, inshallah, or recommend, or have researched the Prophet, peace be upon him, doing after that? So now that they've prayed Fajr, they've prayed
Mhm.
Sunnah, they went to the
Yeah.
masjid until sunrise. What do you do for the rest of the day?
So there's two things the Prophet would do. One of the things he would do was called the qaylula, which is a nap that is taken after that time. And there's a lot of scientific studies that someone who kind of takes a nap, not even a really long one, like 20, 30-minute nap in the middle of the day, they wake up feeling a lot more refreshed and they have the energy to get a lot more things done. Sadly, that's something that I haven't been able to do in my routine just because it's been all over the place. But if I ever have the time for that, like you said, on a weekend, that would be an amazing thing to do. Another thing was Salat al-Duha, and this is kind of a charity prayer for all the joints that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with. And it's also known as the Salah of the Awwabin, which is the people who, whenever they sin, they come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for repentance. So Salat al-Duha is also a very important sunnah to try to accommodate and add into your day.
Yeah, so when I was trying it for a month or two, I would try to stay up. I found that the 20-minute, 30-minute nap that you're talking about, what he did it after the, is that
Mhm.
correct? So
I
okay, yeah.
believe so. Yeah.
So I would try to go on with my day and do whatever schoolwork I have after I'm done praying Fajr, go on with whatever school. Actually, I'm not in school, but real work that I
Mhm.
have up
Yeah.
until Doha prayer, pray that. I started Doha prayer like this week, I ain't gonna lie. Doha prayer is just now in the inventory.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. It's
Um,
those small, consistent deeds that you can keep up with that really make a difference in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. So no matter how small the deed is, if you can stay consistent with it, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, and everything else, what's so important about what I found in his schedule is that he really emphasized the fard prayers in the
Hmm.
masjid and the sunnah prayers alongside them. but it didn't seem like he had that much of an emphasis on Taraweeh in the masjid,
Mhm.
which most
Yeah.
of us have the opposite, where we have
Right.
Taraweeh in the masjid and then Fard prayers rushed and maybe in the back of our office
Right.
or school.
Right. Yeah. I believe the reasoning he didn't kind of enforce Taraweeh prayer is sometimes whenever the Sahabas would come congregate at the masjid and pray in groups, he wouldn't join them sometimes because he didn't want it to become like fard for the ummah. So Taraweeh is just like you said, optional. Of course, the most important thing really to focus on is the fard prayers. So, but with the spirit of Ramadan, everybody, me included, kind of just prioritize like we have to go for Taraweeh every single night. But then what about the fard prayers?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I'm not doing Taraweeh at the masjid this year. I'm doing every
Oh,
other
really?
prayer other than Taraweeh
Wow.
at the masjid.
So you're
Yeah.
gonna pray at home, or what's your schedule like?
Yeah, so I mean, because bro, like Aisha ends at 8, 9 at the
Right.
masjid. By then, you should really be wrapping up to go to sleep so
Mhm.
that you can wake up for tahajjud. Like I prioritize tahajjud
Right.
over Taraweeh
Yeah.
because I'm not at the spiritual level where I can sleep, I mean, pray up until 11 p.m., 12 a.m., and then wake up at 3 a.m., and then pray until 6 a.m. and
Yeah.
continue my day.
Yeah. I never heard of anyone doing that before, so but when you put it into perspective like that, it does make a lot of sense.
Do you think, well, let me ask you this. What are you planning? What's your Ramadan goals, if you don't mind sharing? What are you thinking about doing?
So honestly, my biggest goal is to find one form of ibadah and just keep that going for the rest of my life. You know, like I feel like Ramadan, people tend to kind of like say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do like this, I'm gonna pray all my 12 sunnahs, I'm gonna read the whole Quran, I'm gonna do this. That's a great goal to have, and Allahumma barik, may Allah bless everyone and allow them to achieve those goals. But for me, it's always been about consistency in what I do, and I really want to find one thing that, for example, like Duha prayer, and I just let go, never let go to it for my whole life. So right now, I'm still deciding what this goal is, but inshallah, I'll figure it out soon, hopefully by today. But yeah,
Inshallah, man. May Allah give you
inshallah.
tawfiq and keep you on it, bro.
Even if
That's
it's just like reading one page of the Quran every day, like you don't have to, your intentions at the end of the day is what matters the most. So yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
Mine is
what were you saying?
no, mine is to pray tahajjud
Hmm.
every night of Ramadan if I can, inshallah, because tahajjud was the primary focus that I was focusing on outside of Ramadan, anyways.
Yeah.
Same thing as Quran, because I found it revolutionary in my life, and they say that the
Hmm.
prayer of tahajjud is like an arrow that doesn't miss its target. So I find, and I also think it's like mentally, I used to wrestle. So
Oh,
it just
really?
it hits that one mental framework of
Uh-huh.
mine that I enjoy where it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we should wrestle one day. You got to teach me some stuff,
Oh, you
some
know how to
takedowns.
wrestle?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for the past 2 years, alhamdulillah, but it's not really that much stand up, so I want to learn a lot more takedowns and wrestling stuff. So yeah,
For
I'd love
sure,
to do
man.
that with you one day, inshallah.
I'm down, bro.
Did,
You're
did you
moving
ever
to
compete?
Houston, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
inshallah.
I wrestled in high school.
Nice.
Do you plan on lifting during Ramadan? Hey, salam everyone. I'm excited to tell you guys about this amazing new group called Muslim Professionals, founded by a successful Muslim businessman. This is a free community connecting over 4,000 Muslims across the United States, working in places like Google, Microsoft, and Spotify. They're looking to connect people online and offline to work together, whether that's help finding a new gig, exchanging business ideas, forming partnerships, investing, or just making new friends. It's completely free to join. Just apply at muslimprofessionals.us. Let's grow together, win together.
Yeah, I there's two options for me. Either it's gonna be right after Taraweeh, where I kind of like eat something light for iftar and then pray Taraweeh and then go. Or the second option that worked really well for me last year was actually right before Fajr Adhan and then a little bit after the Adhan. So I would just wake up at 4, have my suhoor, and eat like a nice protein shake, and then just head straight to the gym. And then once Fajr Adhan happens finish up the workout, and then go to the masjid. So that worked out really good for me last year. Try to do it again this year.
So so right before Fajr adhan?
Like maybe like 30 to 40 minutes before Fajr Adhan. Because lately my workouts haven't been as long as they used to be. Like I used to spend 3 2 3 hours at the gym. But as I get older, the less time I have, and I still want to be consistent with it. So I've kind of been shortening it to about 40 45 minutes. So
I'm at 40,
about
45 minutes also.
yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you go during the week?
Outside of Ramadan, I minimum three, maximum five,
Mm.
6.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's good. I used to do 7 days a week, but my body just couldn't handle it anymore. So I'm at about 4 days now.
Really? How old are you?
27.
No way. Dude, you look
I
young,
just got my
mashallah.
first gray hair. It's over here somewhere. Yeah.
Dude, I think I got one over there too.
Oh yeah. How old
I
are you?
freaked out. I'm 25.
Oh yeah, we're basically the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep telling yourself that, Egypt.
Yeah. I know. I in my head I feel like I'm still 18 though.
Oh, bro, of course.
Yeah.
You never
SubhanAllah.
grow old. I learned that
Yeah.
from my dad. My dad told me that I was like, "What's it like being the age he is?" I don't think he'd want
Uh-huh.
me to say it. And he's like, "Brother, I've been 18. I've been you
Yeah.
my entire life. It just people are the ones telling me that I'm older. It's other
Right.
people that actually remind you of your age. You never
Yeah.
think of yourself as older."
That makes sense.
So do
Yeah.
you think, because I'm planning on not training at all during Ramadan, actually, I'm just going to go on walks. I'm going to go on a
Mm.
lot of dhikr walks. I love my nature walks. Is that a part of your routine at all?
To be honest, not really. Walking like if I could show you the weather right now, it's like a snowstorm going on. So I try my best not to be outdoors at the moment. But walking is nice. It's very healthy for you, and it's actually one of the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ. He liked walking.
Yeah, man. It's really you actually lose a lot of weight from it too
Hmm.
because it's a workout method. It is a workout,
Yeah.
and you end up losing a lot of weight because it doesn't induce hunger. So you don't get hungry from it,
Mm.
while lifting gets you hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it. So you're not gonna lift at all because to focus on ibadah, or what are your goals for not
Yeah,
lifting
it
in
just doesn't
Ramadan?
fit into the schedule. Like the
Mm.
only reason I exercise is so I can
Yeah.
be mentally, physically, and therefore spiritually fit to
Mm.
navigate my life with Allah, with my family, and with my friends.
Yeah.
If Allah, my family, and my friends are taking up my whole day, then exercise isn't in it for this month.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Do you Sorry, there's a little bit of lag between us right now, so I
Oh, I
can't
see.
tell whether you're talking or not. Um, do you not get hungry though when you do the 30 to 40 minute before Fajr or
So
thirsty?
I actually don't feel I feel better on the days where I work out earlier than the days I don't because before I work out I know that I need a lot of carbs and calories in my body so I can handle the workout, and throughout the whole workout I'll be drinking a lot of water. So I'll try my best to drink at least half a gallon of water. But the days I don't work out, I'll just wake up, I'll have 3 dates and a little bit of water for suhoor. So actually working out kind of forces me to have a proper good suhoor, and that kind of carries on throughout the rest of my day. So it's really the days that I don't work out that I feel hungry and tired, subhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I think you're just a man of habit like everyone else.
Yeah.
So let me run us through. Obviously, the Prophet peace be upon him would do four sunnah rak'ahs before dhuhr, four
Mm.
rak'ahs dhuhr, and then two sunnah rak'ahs after dhuhr, and then he would continue on with his day until asr. He would pray four sunnah rak'ahs before asr, which are highly recommended, and then four rak'ahs asr, and then up until maghrib. What did you find that the Prophet peace be upon him did before maghrib?
So when I did some research at that time, he would kind of just tend to his community needs. He would visit people who were sick. He would kind of spread the charity. If people had any arguments or disputes, he was kind of the man to go to kind of sort those things out. And it was just like he would be giving dawah, just things like that. So Everything Sallallahu the Prophet Sallallahu did was kind of geared towards the deen and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So,
Yeah.
like, I feel like sometimes throughout the day we tend to have free time. We scroll through social media, or we kind of do things for uh, fun and pleasure. But subhanAllah, his routine, it was very deen oriented, and I aspire to be like that. Honestly, one day.
Yeah. What I found is that Ghazali especially said that, like I said in the beginning of the episode, you should really focus, at least in the last 20 minutes, on dhikr. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum,
Mm,
Ya Fatir as-samawati wal ard. All of those are beautiful adhkar that you can make, especially as the sun is setting and right before iftar, when you are at usually your hungriest, when time really feels a lot longer, so you're really a person of the moment, which is what
yes.
this is really all about, is trying to strive to be a person of taqwa,
Mm,
right? God conscious. And if you're God conscious, you're time conscious, you're people conscious. And during that time, 20 minutes before Maghrib, sit down
mm.
and start making dhikr until Maghrib comes in. Pray Maghrib. If you're at the masjid, inshallah, you could pray it there.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to touch on is the Adhkar al-Sabah as well. So those were two Adhkar, the Adhkar al-Sabah and the Adhkar al-Masa that you were talking about. Those were in his daily routine as well. And those are, I believe there's an app called Fortress of Muslim where you can find all those Adhkar and things to say after every Salah too. Because after every Salah there are some Adhkars as well.
Yeah, and after, you said Adhkar al-Sabah, Adhkar al-Masa, which
Mhm.
means the dhikr of, or the remembrance of God in the morning, remembrance of God
Yes.
in the afternoon for non-Arabic speakers. Uh, and then what was interesting that I found, man, is that between Maghrib and Isha was the amount of blessing between them that the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to capitalize on. Did you look into that? Do you remember that during your routine?
Honestly, this part I don't recall that much. So
Yeah.
you can have the floor with this one.
It slept on. It threw me off. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever can re aliven the two Aishas, which is Maghrib to Aisha. Because what I found out, which was so shocking, was that the Arabs used to sleep after Maghrib. So
Oh
that
wow.
part in the Quran where Allah says تَتَجَافَى جُنُودُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ, right, where they are rolling out of bed, or they're, slowly aching out of bed to go pray, and Allah's praising them. He's actually talking about people getting up after Maghrib to go pray Isha. I used to think, most of us thought, it's to go pray Tahajjud.
I thought that
And
too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what you're actually supposed to do is between Maghrib and Isha, enliven the night with prayer, with dhikr, with
Mhm.
Quran. If you can stay in the masjid or in your home between Maghrib to Isha
Yes.
and get your Quran goals in at that time, that's a great time to get your Quran goals in until
Mhm.
Isha hits.
That's good to know. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be the thing I add to my routine this year, inshallah.
You know what book I recommend to you? I don't know if you've checked it out. It's right here. It's called The Beginning of Guidance by Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. Do you know it?
No, I haven't. I haven't read that.
So
That
he
talks about the
basically
routine.
inadvertently. So when his student asked him to tell him about the beginning of guidance, like how do I get guided? He just tells you the Prophet's routine basically, and he makes commentary on it. And the way he comments is just, this is why Ghazali is known to this day. You could really feel his presence um, in his books.
Mhm.
And because he talks directly to you and he tells you about himself as he's talking directly to you. Do you mind if I read you a certain part?
Oh, not at all.
One of the most popular products at Cure Your World is the black seed and honey gummies. They're amazing for your immunity, rich in essential nutrients, improves your digestion, and is an anti-inflammatory. You can check it out at cureyourworld.com or on Instagram at cureyourworld and use the Ansari code Ansari15 for 15% off. Corn syrup included in product. If keeping to this routine, and he's talking about the routine we've been talking about,
Mhm.
becomes difficult for you Be patient, as a sick person is patient with the bitterness of medicine, waiting for a return to health. Reflect upon the shortness of your life. Even if you were to live 100 years, in comparison with your stay in the afterlife, which is everlasting eternity, it is a very short time. Contemplate, how is it that you bear hardship and humility in your pursuit of this world for a month or a year in order to gain rest and reflection for, say, 20 years? How then is it that you cannot bear a few short days of this routine of worship to attain rest and relaxation for eternity? And he kind of goes on, and one of the interesting things that he talks about is death reflection. How the best way for a person to achieve patience in their ibadah, in their worship, is to remember death often,
Mm-hmm.
which I found to be a habit of the pre-modern people. When you remember death often, when you subconsciously believe today's my last day, or these next 10 days, or Ramadan is my last Ramadan, whatever period works for you, when you think of it like that, then you are not, because he even says in this book, if you think you're going to live for 50 years, it makes it very difficult to stick to the routine that we're talking about. But if you think you're
Mm-hmm.
only living for that day or that week, it becomes
Mm-hmm.
easier. Do you ever do that with your workout? Do you ever trick yourself like that? Where you go in and you're like, hey man, this is going to be a short walk. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
just get a light warm up in a couple stretches. And then it ends up one of your most difficult workouts.
Yeah. It's just the trick is just getting into the gym, no matter how you're feeling. And then once you're there, it kind of just becomes second nature. Sometimes you have the best workouts when on the days when you really didn't even feel like going.
Yeah. Oh, Habibi, Abdul Rahman, that's all the questions I have for you. I know you're fasting. I don't want to keep you too long on. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any final thoughts before we go? Did we go through all of it? Is that the prophet's routine right there?
Yes, we went through everything. There's one last thing that I wanted to add is witr prayer. It was very, very important. They say when the Prophet ﷺ would travel, there was only two sunnahs that he would mostly hold on to, and that would be the sunnah before Fajr and witr prayer. So if there's any sunnahs that you would like to kind of try this Ramadan and carry it over, it would be those two sunnahs from the sunnah prayers.
Witr prayer is, can you tell us what it is?
So witr prayer is the last prayer that you pray right before, for example, the Fard prayer. So you can pray in odd numbers. You'll see some madahib, they'll pray like all three rak'ahs in one go. The one I'm used to is we'll pray shafa and witr. So it'll be two rak'ahs, and then the third one is a witr rak'ah, which is only one rak'ah. So that's kind of what I know about it.
Yeah. Can I share one last part with you and the
Yeah,
viewers, inshallah?
yeah, of
Okay,
course.
so Ghazali says here on page 66, do not lengthen your hopes so that your work and deeds become burdensome to you. Anticipate the closeness of death and say to yourself, I will bear the difficulty today, for perhaps I will die tonight, and I will have patience tonight, for perhaps I will die tomorrow. For death does not attack at a particular time, at a particular age, or in a particular situation, though its assault is inevitable. Therefore, preparation for it is superior to preparation for this worldly life, since you know that you will not stay in it for more than a short period of time. Perhaps all you have left of this life is one breath, 1 hour, or one day. So consider this in your heart each day, and make yourself be patient with obedience to Allah Most High a day at a time. For if you estimate that you may remain alive for 50 years, and that yourself will have to persevere in the obedience of Allah Most High, it will try to run away and make things difficult for you. If you do as advised above, you will have the bliss at the time of death, an endless bliss, and if you procrastinate and take it easy, death will come to you at a time you do not expect it, and you will be grieved with a grief which knows no end. So it's exactly what we were saying there.
Hmm.
And dude, what I love about him, he's like a coach.
Yeah,
He's not going easy on you, and he doesn't go easy on himself either.
yeah. No, that's very important to hold yourself accountable and kind of just always strive to becoming better.
Yeah. Well, Abdurrahman, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. I am very happy that you are one of the first human beings I've talked to during the actual day of Ramadan. Like you and I hopped on here at 11 a.m.
Yeah,
So,
likewise for you.
so, yeah, Ramadan Kareem, man. May it be a blessed one, and inshallah, I will
Ameen.
see you in a couple months
Yes,
for
inshallah.
a in-person interview, and that time, hopefully, we'll. I've been holding back. I got a lot of questions for you, actually, but I just want to make this a short and sweet one for
Yeah,
Ramadan,
we'll dig deeper, inshallah, in Texas.
inshallah.
But only if you beat me in wrestling.
Oh, dang, bro. All right, we're
Yeah,
scratching the episode, huh?
you're definitely gonna beat me, bro. You're definitely gonna beat me.
Dude, I don't know, man. You're looking pretty jacked, bro. I see those
No,
videos.
I don't wrestle. I don't wrestle. So you have that advantage on me. But yeah,
Habibi, brother.
Habibi,
Habibi.
bro. Thank you for having me. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless you all for watching. And I'll let you have the closing remarks because it's your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate your
Take it, bro.
grace. Hey, man, go ahead. Take it. Take the wheel
No,
if you
no,
want.
you got it. You got it. This is
I
me
got
speaking,
it.
bro.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Abdurrahman, Egypturk. You can find him on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Thank you so much for joining the Ansari Podcast. And thank you guys for listening. Ramadan Mubarak.